Good morning, Money Morning Live. Solid was fun. Nice hanging out with him in the main room. But right now, we're bringing it over to Power Profit Trades. Going to be talking a bit about crypto and more today with Tom Gentile. Let's bring him in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey everybody, Tom Gentile. Welcome to Power Profit Trades, Monday, 4/4/2022. Happy birthday, Justin. That's my son. And good. I'll see you later today. It is Microcurrency Monday, guys. We got a lot to review. Bitcoin holding pretty strong here and is also back on top for the year. We'll talk about what that means in just a moment. We took some profits in one of our portfolio trades last week in our portfolio microcurrency trader. So that's looking good. We're going to dig into some charts. We're going to see what's going on with tradable moves and if there's any buy signals cropping up. Of course, I'm here to answer your questions right off the chat. So, hey, Eric, how's your weekend?
It was a nice weekend, man. I got back in town. Last week, I was in Baltimore for Monday Morning Live, which was awesome. But we got back home, got to see the kids and all that, which was nice. How about you?
Cool. Tough weekend, man. Tough weekend. I mean, it's just been, so last week, my daughter got her first home. And so we've been moving her. And, my family is one of those spur of the moment families. They don't like to plan anything. I love planning stuff. In fact, we constantly fight because I'm always trying to get things done ahead of time, making sure that this and that. And my family's like, we'll just get to it when we're ready. So, that was the weekend, like, let's go get a U-Haul and let's move some stuff. I said, we've known about this for a month now. So anyway, I spent my weekend running around town and then driving back and forth, filling up stuff, taking it to her place. I mean, I swear to God, I was there till close to midnight last night. Finally bringing in the last couch and the last bed. And I got to tell you, man, manual labor sucks.
That's why you're doing what you're doing.
Especially when you're in your 50s and you're on the wrong side of 55. It's tough. But I will say this, my even though my shoulders are hurting, because this has been going on now for a week, and I've got aches on top of my aches, I'm actually starting to, that muscle memory is starting to come back and say, hey, remember you used to use us a long time ago. So anyway.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. That was my weekend. Anyway, guys, I hope you all had a great weekend. Let's go ahead and let's start with a market update. So, if you look at the news right now, a lot of the news, Eric, is a lot of it's outside of the cryptocurrency industry. You look at Mr. Doge King himself, Elon Musk, taking a 9% stake in Twitter. He's wanted to, and you go back and he was alluding to wanting to start a social media company. And I think he decided, instead of starting one, let me just buy one. And so he's the largest shareholder, the largest single passive shareholder in Twitter. I think he owns somewhere around 4 times as much as Jack Dorsey, who's the CEO. I also don't think that he's going to remain passive for too long. He filed a schedule to be passive, but he could quickly change that. And I'm pretty sure that as an activist, he's going to probably do that. So you take a look at that. You take a look at news around the world, and that's the biggest news story right now. It's why the Nasdaq is up almost 1.5% when you look at the Dow basically flat and S&P up barely above break even. The VIX is off a little bit too. For those of you that follow the VIX, we're going to go into each of those, but I want to look at a different bearing, and I want to look at them and compare them to BTC. All right, I want to compare these to Bitcoin. So that's the plan here for the next few minutes. Let's take a look at my update. It looks like this. This is the S&P 500. And if you take a look at the S&P 500 now, what you're looking at on the chart here, guys, is you got 2 candlestick charts. All right, the one that's in colors, meaning the green and red candles. So those green and red candles are the actual asset, the S&P 500, and every other asset we're going to be talking about today. Now, when you look at the black and white candles, that is Bitcoin. So we're going to be doing a comparison between the S&P, which is up here, and Bitcoin, which is really just, that's all the volatility right now when you compare the two. But this is an interesting thing, Eric, is that for the majority of the year, because this goes back to December 31st, we're now 65 days into the trading year, trading days into 2022. So drop down, move up, drop down, move up. You can see the volatility is definitely in Bitcoin. But look what's happened here recently. In the last week, Bitcoin jumped above SPY and is now trading higher for the year than the S&P 500 or the Spider ETF that we follow, right? That's one thing we want to look at. So S&P still down, all right? Still lower than it has been for the year, where Bitcoin is at new highs for the year and really kind of has been for the last week. Take a look at the bond market. Okay, here's a big difference. The bond market has been just making lower highs and lower lows as inflation continues to rear its ugly head. Let's take a sideways note here, Eric. I heard an interesting, I haven't been able to confirm this yet, but I'm hearing that real estate in New York is now starting to get a little bit soft. Have you heard this?
I haven't. I'm actually in the market for a new home as well, so that actually sounds great to me. Although I have to sell my home too, so I don't really know how that works out. But I don't know. There's not a lot for sale around me specifically, and that's really the only place I'm looking. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not in the boroughs. You're upstate, so it might be a little bit different upstate because a lot of folks were trying to get upstate. Right. I remember over the last year. Exactly. And I recently sold my home in New York. So if there is a softening that's going on, I'm happy that my house in New York is in the rearview mirror now. Good but Florida's still kicking it. Florida's still crazy. There was an article I saw that came out that someone from England was trying to buy a house in the Sarasota Bradenton area, and it became news that was actually, it hit Apple News, and it was said, look at the new Brits moving to Sarasota or Manatee County. And they were buying in the midst of a 34% jump just in the last year in home prices. And I can confirm that. In fact, I actually think that's a conservative estimate in the area we live, because just everything's being bought, everything on every price scale, not just the lower priced homes, but upper priced homes and everything in between. So you take a look at that, and that is a product of inflation. Food prices have been much higher. Coffee, I mean, everywhere you look, milk, dairy, it's all gone up in value. And so we see that pushing the bond market lower because we expect interest rates to be on the climb. Now, what does that got to do with Bitcoin? A lower bond market, a higher BTC market. That should not. I mean, if you look at BTC as an asset, it doesn't make sense. But if you look at BTC as an alternative currency, it absolutely makes sense. And so that's maybe, again, we've been talking about this since the lows that occurred back here in July. We've had higher lows, and now this big push. And remember, last week we were looking for the push to go above the area of 40,000. And I said, we need to be above 45 for 3 days. And then this starts to really tell the bullish tale. And that's exactly what happened. Now, we got a little April Fool's joke on Friday when Bitcoin dropped down for a little less than an hour, dropped below 45, and then went right back up again. So, where are we at right now? We're at 45,006, a little bit soft here coming into today. But again, we're staying into a pretty tight range. I'll get into the actual chart itself and not part of a comparison here in just a few minutes. But kind of moving along once again, here's Bitcoin to oil. And this one's tracking a little bit better. I mean, oil's been a much bigger breakout since the beginning of the year. But now oil is off of its highs, where Bitcoin is making its highs as in the last week. Right. And then finally, look at Bitcoin to gold. And you can see the gold market did have a nice rally up off 165, went up to as high as 194, has fallen back down, is in a tight range right now. But all the while, where Bitcoin jumped above highs Again, last week, we triple topped here around 45,000. And now what was once resistance is now looking to be support. One more chart I want to show you is the VIX. So the VIX again is in the red and green, and we saw the VIX make that crazy high with creations of VXX suspended on this particular day. So if you take that big candle high out, you did get a new high. We fell back down. Now we're seeing the VIX starting to drop lower, dropping in below 25. At the same time, again, we're watching Bitcoin move higher against the VIX itself. So there's a lot of good news when you look at comparisons, Eric. Comparisons is that the stock market is moving back. It is trying to gain some headwind off of what's been happening recently. When you look at SPY, you look at the bond market is expected to move lower. Maybe we overshot that. If I were to look outside of Bitcoin to look at one area that I think got overshot, the home building industry, I think got completely overshot, and we could see some short covering in home building. Now, but if you look at everything, you've got stocks that want to move a little higher. You've got the bond market we expect to go where it's going. Commodities should continue to move higher, if not flatten out. And all of this is a good tale for Bitcoin and microcurrencies, right? It's all a good tale because A, you get the stock market pushing, and B, you've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the likes all kind of jumping the tracks of being an asset so far. And those are all good. And also, let me mention this too. April is historically a good month for the stock market. So, at least the first 2 weeks of April tend to be historically good. And I don't want to fight that trend. So this is all good news for everything BTC. Now, here's an interesting fact, Eric. There's only 2 million Bitcoin left to mine. And so throw that first image up on the screen from Cointelegraph.com.
Of course. Bitcoin network difficulty reaches all-time high as miners pursue 2 million Bitcoin. You mentioned it. A lot of the Bitcoin that's out there is all locked up in vaults right now, and only 2 million is being circulated. Bitcoin's hash rate maintained a stronghold throughout the year as it complements the new ETH for Bitcoin network difficulty. Thoughts?
Yeah. That means that, folks, what that means is the 19 millionth Bitcoin went into circulation on Friday. Somebody mined that 19 million Bitcoin. They should have got a prize for it. You're the 19th million member of the Big Mac Club at McDonald's.
Congratulations.
Hey, yeah, congratulations. Mining difficulty is also at an all-time high because of a couple of reasons. Energy prices have gotten higher, so not as many people want to mine. But also, more importantly, as we mine more digital currencies, there's less in the digital ground to get, so it's harder to find. And I mean that in a very basic form. Okay, it's harder to mine, in meaning that the difficulty to mine gets greater and greater. So that being said, out of the remaining BTC, they're expected to be mined by 2140. All right, that means the year 2140. Once you factor in the additional difficulty it's going to happen and the halving, all right, that's where the rewards continue to get cut in half, in half, in half. So as of Friday, BTC was back to outperforming both the S&P and the QQQ. So you've got another chart to show everybody from stockcharts.com, Eric.
Of course we do. Bitcoin edges past SPY QQQ for 2022.
Yeah, and the chart that you see here on the screen, guys. So what this is this basically is showing us a chart of the Qs. This is going back to the beginning of the year also. We're really looking at year-to-date charts here. So if you look at the Qs, that's the black line. All right, SPY is the blue line, and Bitcoin is the red line. The Qs are still down. Now, we might have gotten a little bit of a bump, 1.5% today. But as of Friday, the Qs were down just less than 9% for the year. That's a pretty big meltdown when you even look at what's happened since the 14th of March. 14th of March, we were down 20% in the QQQ. That was a big, big drop, and everybody was talking bear market, bear market. Hey, this might be a bear market rally that we're in. All right, as we're seeing the Qs trying to get some elevation to the upside, and of course, Mr. Musk has a lot to do with the Qs that move down being a lot less today. But the S&P 500 still down 4.3%, while Bitcoin edged up and actually moves higher for the year. So that's what this chart is really showing us, is that where the asset is. Now, let's go into the individual assets, and I want to do that right now, Eric. So we're actually going to go to our cryptocurrency charts, and I want to look at, I can look at a ton of them, but I want to look at 3 of them today with you, and then we're going to get into crypto news. So let's look at 3 of these. I might expand this a little bit, Eric, depending on the amount of time we have, if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with it, Tom. You're in charge, man.
Cool. All right. So here we go. So let's start with BTC. Now, I'm taking us back to the November, that first week of November, when we had that high. You know what? Before I even go any farther, Eric, let me poll the audience. How many of you in here are here new for the very first time? All right. So you're seeing me live for the very first time, whether you are on YouTube, all right, where my YouTube channel is and all my YouTubers hang out. If you're on YouTube, quick shout to all the folks there. How about Monday Morning Live? Either one of you, because we are simulcasting across both channels today. Who's new in the room for the very first time? Love to see you and say hello. Eric, what are you seeing on the MM Live channel?
All we have right now is one. No, we have more than one. CA Doug is a newbie as well as member. Hasn't even changed their name yet, Tom. That's how new they are. And they're here to hang out with you.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to have all of you here, no matter whether you're here with us for the first time or you're here, however long we've been, that Monday Morning Live's been up there operating, I would say since, almost a year ago. So some of you here, and you've been here for an entire year. So glad to have both of you. All right, back to the charts. So as I'm looking at Bitcoin, the reason I asked about the newbies, Eric, is that I want to go through and explain again what we're looking at here. This is a daily chart of Bitcoin. I'm a long-term holder of Bitcoin. In fact, I've been holding Bitcoin now since 2013. Okay, that gives you how far out I was doing it. I was mining, I was holding when everybody thought I was nuts. And they said, this is Pokemon stuff you're doing. And of course, I had somebody reference, the difference between my Pokemon cards and your Bitcoins is my Pokemon cards are actually worth something. That was 9 years ago, Eric.
I think you made the right call, Tom. Good job sticking to your guns.
I think I did too. All right, so here you go, 67,549. Now, this is not the all-time high here, folks. All right, for those, again, that are new, 67,549 is not the all-time high of BTC because that all-time high sits at 69,000 even. Somebody actually bought BTC and paid 69,000 for it. And then they watched it drop. Now, let's just bring this chart back into perspective again. So I'm looking at this chart 67.5, by the way, is the closing high that we marked. Now, we marked that closing high because we use these lines here, these Fibonacci retracement lines, as part of our trading strategy here with Microcurrency Trader. So 67,549, that is our all-time closing high. These areas right here I'm going to talk about in just a moment. We dropped all the way down and hit a closing low. This is the closing low for the year. Closing low for the year is at 35,075.90. Now from there, we start at this point, from this closing low, we now have these retracement levels. Retracement levels are where the market runs to before we run into resistance. If you notice, last week we got above the retracement level of 47,480. This is what we refer to as a 38% retracement level. 38% of what? Well, from that big 67.5 high down to the 35,000 low, if you go up 38% from that high to low, you will come to 47,480. If you go up 50% off that bottom, from the top to bottom, you will reach 51,312. And if you go to 61.8% off the bottom, you're seeing 55,144.34. Okay, so these are numbers that I like to use, my team and I, as we're trying to determine where the headwinds are likely to be for Bitcoin. Now, I also went as far last week as to colorize these. You remember that, Eric? We went in and we actually made a little chart and we colored it. And the bottom area is what I called the red area, and the middle area I called it the yellow area, and then up here I called this the green area. We really want to get above 55,144 because that's when the bulls will start coming out in droves, right? But right now we're in this cautionary area where we're hitting the cautionary and pulling back a little bit. What do I like about Bitcoin right now, even though we're still in the red zone? I like how well it's holding the 45,000 mark. That I like, right? I like how we're holding 45. Yeah, we did dip down there April Fools. We did a dip-de-doo on April Fools, and we held it, all right? So I if we see a closing low below 45, we could run back down again, absolutely. But I like to see us stay above that. Okay, so that's BTC. And these are the levels we're looking at on BTC. Again, 47,480, 51,312, and 55,144. Let's take a look at coin number 2. Coin number 2, everybody knows it, and that is Ethereum, ETH. So I'm going to bring Ethereum up. I'm going to look at it and see where it is in the mix. Now, I got to tell you, Ethereum is the stronger of the two coins because, again, back at the beginning of November 2021, we had a closing high on Ethereum of 48.1097. Then we dropped down just like we did with Bitcoin. The low, I mean, we halved this. We went from 4,800 to 2,400. That was 50% off. That was a 50% off sale going on with Ethereum back in January of this year. We held tight on that. And in fact, again, lower those higher lows that occurred, we stuck out that close, 24.12. Well, since the beginning of March, we've ran this thing up and we've gone from the $2,500 area to just around 34 or 3,500. We're at 34.35 right now. A little bit of give back, right? That's to be expected. But notice this, we are well above the 33.28 level, which is the red zone, again, red, and this is the cautionary zone, and this is our bull zone. We're at 33.28.55 right now. The next area of resistance, 36.11. Did we hit it? We got awful close yesterday, but we didn't hit it. If we get through that, the next area of resistance is 38.94, and then we're off to the races again. This is what we're looking for, folks, all right? And right now we're in the yellow zone for Ethereum. So all of a sudden, Ethereum has become the bigger bullish coin of our top two right now of crypto or of Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So that's our Ethereum chart, right? So far the takeaway is Ethereum looks like the better move than Bitcoin, right? The tail is now wagging the dog. And speaking of the dog, let's go look at the dog or the Doge, D-O-G-E, because that one was on a rally last week. But then the rally kind of took a little pause before moving higher. Dogecoin. Now, Dogecoin is not a Bitcoin. It's not an Ethereum. It had highs back around its all-time. Its high was near 30 cents, and this was back in November before falling. Look at this fall, though. This fall, it didn't come into its low on 121 like Bitcoin and like Ethereum did. No. It went all the way into about 3 weeks ago. And in the last 3 weeks, we've bounced off of 11 cents. We actually hit 15.65 earlier today. A little bit of a pullback here, but this is good. This is good numbers to see. Now, this one is just like Bitcoin, just like Ethereum. Doge is also in our portfolio, and we're down on Doge. All right, down but not out. But I wanted to share that one because that's a big one. Everybody talks about it. Elon Musk tweets about it, and it is something that's in our portfolio. We'll talk about some more about our portfolio in a moment. Let's talk about two more coins that are, now Doge is not a buy and hold coin, but this next one kind of is, right? So let's go to, starts with an A and ends with an A. And the symbol I'm talking about is ADA, or Cardano. So Cardano had highs up here around 227, okay, 227. And the lows, just like Doge, happened a couple weeks ago down here around the, I want to say 78-cent mark, 78 cents, or excuse me, yeah, 78 cents. But look what's done since then. 78 cents is now $1.22. Even Cardano is making a move. If you look at Cardano, you can see up, over, and then up again. And it's tagging the highs that happened a week ago. 135, 153, 170. Those are the targets we're looking at with ADA. All right. One more while we're to boot is another one that I'm a holder of, and that is DOT, or Polkadot. Now, Polkadot, there it is. So Polkadot is again, and you know what makes ADA and Polkadot longer term plays? Well, because they're really pushing on the efficiency. All right, that next level efficiency of the crypto markets, and they offer a lot to the network. But Polkadot's also a tradable coin. All right, so we have Polkadot, we have ADA. These are all in our portfolio. And they're a portfolio of tradable coins where we get in, we look for a target, and we get out. I'm going to show you a trade that hit a target just last week. We'll look at that one in just a few minutes. But Polkadot, highs late last year when Bitcoin was making its all-time highs, Polkadot 53.39. That has fallen all the way to 15.97. And has definitely fallen from grace. But look what's happened here in the last couple weeks. Made a move back up and was high as over $23. Making up some lost ground here in the last 3 weeks. Again, the levels I'm looking at on Polkadot that we need to push through are as follows. $30.26, that's the 38% retracement. $34.68, that's the 50% retracement. And 61.8%, which is the 39.10, 61.8% retracement. All right. So those are what we're looking at. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, Cardano, Polkadot. And if I could just add a couple of things to that, Eric, you know, all of what I'm showing you here is part of what I like to call the continued mainstream adoption cycle of crypto, right? And keep in mind that as Bitcoin goes higher, as Ethereum goes higher, those are the tides that are going to lift the boats of Cardano, the boats of Polkadot, the boats of Doge. And what ends up happening is that the betas, which is what they feel like now, become the alphas when we start getting up into that bullish zone. So once again, you know, out of all of these, the most important thing we're looking at is we're looking at these retracement levels. And I'm looking at the retracement levels of Bitcoin and Ethereum because they provide a slingshot for the likes of the smaller currencies. Okay. So let's get into some headlines, Eric. What do you say?
I think that's a great idea, Tom. Let's start it out with this one right here about Robinhood. First of all, I want to ask in the chat, how many people in the chat right now use the Robinhood platform to trade? Really curious about that, especially with crypto too. But Robinhood's top crypto executive is leaving, Tom. What does that mean? Are they in trouble? Is there an easy replacement? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, Robinhood's always in the news for one reason or another. And, you know, Robinhood was the reason, Eric, that I built an entire volatility strategy around the Robinhood traders. So I don't mind it. I actually like it, right? And even though we've seen a lot of Robinhood traders leave Robinhood, it's not the ones that are leaving are not the ones I'm concerned about. It's that Robinhood Reddit crowd is still here to stay. And if there's anything that makes note of that or confirms that, it's the moves that happened last week in GameStop. It's the move that happened last week in AMC. And so they're still there. So, in fact, I want to mention this. I got a special that's going on at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Okay. I'm taking over the airwaves at 2 p.m. and I'm going to talk about the Robinhood traders and I'm going to talk about the Reddit crowd. I'm going to talk about how we trade those. Okay. But in the crypto news, okay, here's the part that popped up, and you hear this: the crypto mastermind, the guy that created faux crypto. All right, faux crypto for Robinhood, and that's the way that we trade crypto on Robinhood is through their own Robinhood Cryptocurrency LLC division. He's leaving, possibly for another startup, and so I mean, it's safe to say that he might be leaving simply because of what happened in that space and what's happened in the last quarter. So that's my take on it. What does it say about Robinhood? I got a chart to show you on Robinhood, and even though it is Crypto Monday, Robinhood has a lot to do with cryptocurrency. And as you can see here, this is I'm taking us back to well, you know what? Let's go back into November. This might take me a couple shots to do that. Yeah, 100 days back ought to take us into November, and we can see what's gone on since then. So Robinhood's high was actually at the beginning of the year. As you can see it, that's not Robinhood's high. Let's try this one more time. Okay. Leave it to me to screw up technology. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. $35.21, all the way down to what literally 2 weeks ago we were trading at $10.65. That is a wallop to the stock. More recently, it's gotten this big jump. We can see the big jump that's happened, but it's this move down that's forcing talent to leave Robinhood. And I got to tell you, Eric, nothing makes somebody leave more than finding out that their stock options are now out of the money.
Makes sense.
And that's the news story no one's saying. And that's something that cannot be confirmed, but this option trader is going to speculate on that. If I'm working in a company and I'm working 100 hours a week or whatever at a decent salary, but I've got all my future tied up in stock options that the company granted me for free as part of my package, and let's say those stock options were at $50 a share, all of a sudden the stock's trading at 10, I see a low probability event happening. I'm more likely to jump to a ship that has options that could be something closer to where the stock's trading at right now. Just my thought. All right.
Fair enough.
Next headline.
Yeah, next headline is about Riot Blockchain filing to sell up to 500 million of stock. Proceeds from the at-the-market offering would be used for general corporate purposes, which may include investments in existing and future projects. Does this mean there's a lot more to come? Are you concerned about them selling out of that much stock?
Yeah, I kind of am.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, typically, when you got, I mean, think about this. Elon Musk kind of did it right. He's got the EV space pretty much wrapped up. I mean, you look at Ford, GM, the other big companies, they're still years away from where Musk is. And Musk did it by strategic, he did strategic areas where they added secondary offerings to the market. Now, what is Riot Blockchain going to do with another $500 million? Are they going to, in an area where difficulty is getting greater, electricity is getting more expensive, are they going to upgrade their machines? I mean, that's part of what they have to do as a company is upgrade their technology. But I mean, we're talking about, unless they're planning on going into another area and mining other coins and being part of a broader scale, I just think what this does is pad the company for years to come. And I think this could possibly be a great short in the very least as a hedge against Bitcoin. So that's what I think. I mean, you got competition, other competition, and I think what's going on is that Riot's trying to stay ahead of competition, but they're also padding the company because they got to pay for things. They got things they got to pay for in the future. And I would have to go back and look at the balance sheet to see how fast they could run through 500 million. We really don't know. SPAC market. That's been kind of quiet lately. In fact, the SPAC market's been less than quiet. It's been downright ghost townish. When you look at SPACs now, and there's folks that are coming, they're coming out that were looking at SPACs last year that wish they would have gotten their SPAC deal going, because hanging on and waiting and researching it more, SPAC market's just kind of gone sideways. There is a company though that's getting ready for a SPAC merger called Prime Block. This is a $1 billion merger. You have you want to throw that up there, Eric?
Oh yeah, the Bitcoin mining company Prime Block to go public via 1.25 billion SPAC merger. They're forecasting generation of 98 million in annual revenue. This isn't a small company, Tom.
No, it's not. And if you look at if they're going to generate 8% of what their public or their SPAC merger is likely to be, that's kind of that's got my eyebrow up a little bit. But even this, I go right back to the table again. Even this, you've got a company here, Prime Block, who's about to do a SPAC merger for 1.25 billion. That's more than double what Riot Blockchain's looking to do to sell more stock. This is going to be a big player. It's going to be a big competitor to Riot, and it just makes me think even more that when we look at this, to me it just reeks of a short sale. It just or shorting the market, shorting this particular market. And those of you that are stock traders, and I know some of you are in here, there's several different ways you could skin this cat if you do believe that Riot is on its way back down, even if it's looking at double bottoming down there in the mid 13s. You got put options, you got put spreads, you got put butterflies, you got put calendar spreads. You could also do call credit spreads. These are all alternatives to going out there and shorting stock. The last thing I want to do is short this stock and then Bitcoin jump to new all-time highs, because you know where this is going to go. This is going to jump all over that. So, all right. So, Eric, let's jump to our next segment. We're actually ahead of time for the first time in who knows how long.
Yeah, well, I'm okay with that.
Strategy section. Let's go ahead and take a look at the portfolio and where it is standing since Friday's close. And this is obviously just some of our assets. Yeah, we're going to show you more of the green ones. We'll talk about the portfolio as a whole here. But this definitely, if you look at the entire portfolio, we saw a big jump in our portfolio. That means our winners got greener and our losers ended up getting a little, they ended up becoming less losers. So gave us a lot of breathing room coming in. So what do you got, Eric?
Yeah, and this is stuff that you dive deeper into in the 1 o'clock session later today as well, for anyone that's going to be coming through. But we have some big percentage gains here, Tom. KNC with an 85.8% gain. That's our largest one right here. We have Ethereum, 29.7% gain. ZEC, 29.6%. Polkadot with 18.3%. Bitcoin with 12.3%. KNC again with 12%, and of course Cardano with 10.5% gain.
Yeah, and keep in mind, 4 of those 5 we talked about just a few minutes ago. What the only one that we did not talk about in that bunch was Doge, and our Doge trade is one of the ones that's in the lower category. It's in the loser category, but much less than where we were just a couple weeks ago. Now, what we do with all of these, if you take a look at, for instance, KNC. All right, so KNC is an 85% gain. We're looking to take profits at 100% on KNC. We're looking to take profits on Ethereum at 50%. Okay, coming on down, I know we're looking to take profits on Bitcoin at 50%. Typically the larger coins, if you take a look at the big dogs like Bitcoin and Ethereum, too often, when we look at those are we almost treat those like indexes when you compare those to the smaller altcoins. The smaller the coin is, Eric, the bigger the percentage gain we can go for, because they have alpha moves. So you look at KNC, and a lot of, I'm sure there's some folks that own this one, that are with us on this, and are saying, hey, why don't we take profits now? We very well could. And we look at these on a regular basis, and it looks like we should take profits in something now versus waiting for that extra 15%. We absolutely will. But it's interesting how a lot of these jump, and they jump up and they give us profits at the weirdest times. 2 o'clock in the morning, Sunday afternoon, Saturday night. So we want to have those 100%ers and those 50%ers and our targets in place. I want to show you one of those targets that happened. This was SNX. So we were looking at SNX to hit our targets. And I was telling subscribers, on the Monday alert, if you want to bring that up there, this was something we looked at just recently. So
yeah. We got some positions on this coin dating back to earlier in 2021. So holding this one for a while, with our most recent ad being earlier in March as a coin shot off by signals. And as Tom speaks, the coin is in the midst of a rally, sitting more than halfway to the target of 50% gains. Tom, we're going to leave the position alone and wait to see if it hits our target of $6.50 to $7, which could happen as soon as this week. So you have to stay tuned, of course.
Yeah, and of course, everyone stay tuned. And on Thursday, we sent the alert out to subscribers, and you have a kind of a snapshot of that alert, and there it is.
Yes, that's right here. This is the profit alert that came through. Quick 50% profit on SNX. This was out March 31st. The action to take was sell your synthetics bought on March 18th for no less than a 50% profit. On our trade, SNX, which we opened just under 2 weeks ago, it hit the 50% target. So it happened, Tom. You made it work.
Yeah. And not everything is in the green, folks. I have varying research services. There's not a single one of them that has 100% winners up and down the line. All right. Love to strive for that. That's what we continue to do. But I wanted to get to a point where some of these assets, we look at these, we're able to make decisions when things go in the green because they're hitting profit targets. So the good news that we're looking at right now is, so far, we're staying above that 45,000 mark. And as we stay above that 45,000 mark, we're setting in a new support level to where we jump to new and higher highs. Now, where's our next area where we start to get a little excited about? I would say, go back to the Fibonacci charts we were looking at for Bitcoin, and I'm going to bring that up because this is crucial, guys. It's crucial to know this. And I'm going to come back. I want to look at a couple more coins while we're at it. But if you take a look at Bitcoin one more time, we were above the 47,480 mark. Okay. In fact, we went above 48,000, and we need to go back above 48,000. But the new number that we're gunning for is 51,312. Okay. Let that sink in for a moment. 51,312. What does that represent? That represents a number that's well above 50,000. Here's what's going to happen. You get Bitcoin above 50,000, mainstream media is going to start chirping about it. All right. Then it's going to show up all over social media and media outlets everywhere. It's going to wake people up that stop looking at this, that stop looking at cryptocurrency. And they're going to start looking at it again, and they're going to say, oh, this thing might be on the move again. You and I will already be in a position to where we own this and a lot of other coins in our portfolio that are going to, again, the rise in the tide is going to lift all boats, or most boats in that case. So I think when you look at the risks of the market, the risk of going down versus the risk of going up, I think the risk of going up is still there. Meaning that you might say risk. Who's at risk if cryptocurrency goes up? Well, think about the folks that short cryptocurrency via futures contracts. All right. Think about the risk of the folks that short the ETFs like BITO, where they can go out there and open short these things. If the physical asset goes up, it's going to hurt them. They're going to have to buy back. All right, so that's their risk. They have upside risk and downside reward. Think about the Riot blockchains, the Coinbases of the world, these traders that trade the stock, and they're shorting these positions. The last place they want to see these go is up and against them. Okay, so that's how I'm reading the charts on Bitcoin. If you take a look at something like an SNX, let's throw SNX in there, and let's look at it because I want to share with you what SNX has done since our move. Here's SNX, and you can see it went as high as 795 and it's dropped back down, and now we're back down to the 681 level. This is why, folks. This is why we use targets. Because when you get that big spike can take you out, right, before it mean reverts. Now, synthetics could catch some bids and move higher, and the next area for synthetics to go is the $10.67 area. If we get back into this area, especially if Bitcoin and Ethereum Bitcoin gets into the yellow and Ethereum gets into the green, that's going to make coins like synthetics turn around and even move higher. Now, let me compare this to a couple of trades that are not working for us yet, or they're turning around, but we're still underwater a little bit on. One of them would be Matic, and that symbol is MATIC. Sorry, the coin is Polygon. You can see what Polygon's done. We're down on this one a little bit, not much, all right? In fact, I think we're right at, we may be at break even on Matic, but Matic has dropped all the way down from the 288 level down to $1.36. It still has a ways to go to get above the 194 area. That's that area right there where we get out of the red zone, right? We got a little ways to go before we get out of the red zone, okay? Let me show you one more, and that is Maker, all right? And that is, where is MKR at? MKR, come on down. Here we go. And here's Maker. Now, Maker has started to make a move, no pun intended, but you can see the high that occurred, and the highs actually occurred back in November, 33.07. Lows down here at 16.67. Took a little bit of time. Now finally starting to make a move. Again, no pun intended. Where is our next stop for Maker? 24.87 is the next area we're looking at on the screen for MKR. So, when you wrap it all up, Eric, what it looks like is, again, the tide of Bitcoin, the tide of Ethereum are likely to rise a lot of these boats. And we see not only new opportunities on the horizon, but we also could see positions where we're going to add to some of the portfolio we have. Okay. Now, we are turning the tide to the last part of the show. So, Eric, let's jump to some questions, a little bit of chat Q&A here.
Let's dive in.
What you got going on?
Well, Tom, we have a few questions. I've been scanning the chat as well, and I know that you're going to check us out on YouTube to see what's coming from there. But this one from Kathy O. Can I ask why it usually says to enter at market on the alerts? Is not a limit order better to get in? Good question.
Yeah, no, that is a good question. And Kathy, if you take a look at, and you know this, and a lot of other folks that are on the program know this, and you're going to be joining me at 1 o'clock as a member of Microcurrency Trader. You know that we look at three different things when we're following microcurrencies. We look at the overall landscape like we're doing right now, okay? That's definitely one thing we look at. So that's the Fibonacci ratios. We also have something called currency waves, and we have our darknet design strategy. So currency waves are looking at faster and slower moving averages and looking for crossover points. Now, typically when you get a crossover point and you're going to buy something, do you think that the market short term is moving up or down? Right? Maybe you don't know the answer to that, so I'm going to give it to you. When we get a crossover bull, the market is moving in our direction. It's moving up. Okay. Same thing with darknet. Now, darknet is something that we use. We use channel stacking, where we look at long, intermediate, and short-term channels. And when we get a consolidation of support with long and intermediate, or with intermediate and short, or with long and short, okay, any of those three scenarios come up, we could possibly get a buy signal. You know what ends up determining whether you have support? And that it's a bounce. It's called a bounce. We didn't know, if you look at Maker here for a moment, we did not know that 1667.01 was the low until it bounced off 1667, and then in this case retested it a couple of times. So in that case, if we're going to buy it, we're looking for a move higher. And once we make that move higher, we're more than likely going to get filled on a market order than we are a limit order. Okay. So we're buying assets that are moving in our direction, at least at the time that we buy them. It does, your question makes perfect sense. Why buy at a market? Because if I buy at a limit, can I get a better trade? I get a better fill. Yes, you could get your fill or better, but you might not get filled. And the positions that we're finding, because we've been doing this now since, or at least Microcurrency Trader, we've been doing this since 2018. And at the time, we weren't getting a lot of fills when we started. And we realized it was because we were trying to grab an extra penny, an extra 5 cents, an extra 10 cents when it made no sense. We were tripping over dollars to pick up cents. So market orders typically work better in the cryptocurrency environment. And with the liquidity that's out there, it's really helping us quite a bit to get in. We're getting in at good prices. All right, Eric, what else you got for me?
I'll tell you what, Kathy O is very lucky because this is one that I chose from the chat. Maybe, well, it looks like that was 20 minutes ago. Are you bearish on all of the mining companies due to the complexity of mining Bitcoin? I mean, you're a miner yourself, Tom. Does that have anything to do with your choice here?
I got out of mining a long time ago because the difficulty back then was tough for a retail miner. And I could have continued to mine, but I would have had to invest a lot of money into equipment, actually warehouse it. And in Florida, not the best temperatures to get your bang for your buck when it comes to processing. You're better off being in colder areas. Canada, Maine, Alaska, Greenland, these places where it's so cold that the processing speed actually is better because you're talking about processors that get quite hot. Down here in Florida, you're popping fans all the time. There's a maintenance cost you have to add to it. So I just find that it might be counterintuitive being a miner these days in an area where the market is shrinking. It's like for gold. We don't know how much gold's left in the earth, and there could be some floating around out in space. But you could all of a sudden strike an area of gold that you didn't know was there, a vein that wasn't there. We know what's left with Bitcoin. We know there's no way you're going to mysteriously find some extra Bitcoin that wasn't already mined. So that's my thought on miners. Yeah, I do. I'd rather buy the physical asset than I would a miner or an ETF for that matter.
Thanks, Tom. We have another question here, and then maybe you can grab one from the YouTube if we have any. This is from Robert J. What platform are you using for trading your microcurrencies? That's
an easy one, Robert. I use Coinbase. Okay. Now, I have bought the faux stuff, the fake stuff, I like to call it, on Robinhood. Fake Bitcoin, fake Ethereum. But I mean, 99 point, it's a big percentage number of what I do in trading is through Coinbase. And so the Coinbase account, and I have a Coinbase account. A lot of people here have a Coinbase account too. When I do make a trade on Coinbase, I use the advanced trade feature. The advanced trade feature is something relatively new to Coinbase. And so what it allows us to do is what Kathy was asking about. And let me just share with you, if I were looking at buying, for instance, looking at buying Bitcoin. So what we have now is we have these trading view type charts on advanced trade that you didn't have before. A month ago, this wasn't here. Okay, but it's here now. So I got real-time charts. I can now change I can add indicators to this. I can change the interval of the chart that I'm looking at. I can do a lot here that I couldn't do before. The other piece, you have the ability to draw trend lines, from one point to another. There's all kinds of things that we can do that we just couldn't do before with the old version of the older version of
Coinbase.
Yeah. So that's the one thing. The second thing that's, I think, really the most important part is way over here on the right hand side. You've got the ability to do limit prices. You got the ability to do to do all kinds of things. Stop orders are now available too. So let me slide on over here and open this up so you can see. You can buy or sell. You can do limits. You can do markets. You can do stop limit orders. These are all available for those of you that want to move out beyond that market order. And most importantly, now Coinbase has the fees that Coinbase Pro used to have. If you were with me on this show earlier in the year and even last year, you heard me say a lot of times we use Coinbase Pro because it's 1/3 the fees. You could cut your fees by 65%. Just simply putting your orders in Coinbase Pro instead of Coinbase. You don't have to do that anymore. It's all under this roof. Oh, and let me mention this too. Last week, somebody said, Tom, why don't you change? Have you decided to change yet from Coinbase Pro and move your account back to Coinbase? I did. But let me tell you what you don't want to do. Do not go to, here's my public service announcement today. Do not type in CoinbasePro.com. Okay, that is a fake site. If you go to CoinbasePro.com, it's going to throw you into some weird site. I'm going to share it with you. Here, take a look at this. This is crazy, Eric, because I almost did it.
Oh, wow.
The old in me kicked in for a second. And look at this. Coinbase Pro's website address is not bhc.mh.cp3.xyz, all this other crap. You know what they're looking for? They're looking for you to sign in and give them an authentication so they can sign in on your behalf. And then they've got your authentication. They sign in, and then they're going to extract your stuff. No. You don't want to do that. You want to go to pro.coinbase.com. If you go to pro.coinbase.com, you're going to the real Coinbase, or you can get the Coinbase Pro by going through Coinbase. All right. But do not type in CoinbasePro.com. Don't do it. All right. I almost made that mistake.
That was a valuable public service announcement, Tom, because CoinbasePro.com sounds pretty legit, and it looked legit as well. So you probably just saved some people.
What? And I don't know. I didn't go all the way through because I don't want to go all the way through. But when I see the website address start to forward, flip flop back and forth, throw a whole, something out there that looks like the ingredients on the back of a Twinkie, I don't want to go there. That's all right. Good. I mean, sugar, flour, Twinkie stuff in the middle. That's what I want. Pro.coinbase.com. You go to pro.coinbase.com. So. All right. Hey, guys, we are getting to the end of the show. So a couple of announcements I want to make here before we end up. Number one, if you want to be part of my 1 p.m. show and you are not part of Microcurrency Trader, take a look at what we're offering. All right. We have the ability to for you to come and trade with me and my team using our rules-based trading strategies, which includes all kinds of stuff I don't even have time to get into. But one of the biggest things is join me in the private room every Monday at 1 p.m. Tomorrow, so I'm back here tomorrow at 11:30, but you know what? I have a special that I'm doing at 2 p.m. I'm going to be doing what we call a deep dive into my volatility strategy. And we're going to be looking at the upcoming earnings season. I'm going to be sharing some of my potential setups with the entire room for the April earnings season. All right, so definitely want to come in and join us there. Finally, to all of our premium subscribers, and you know who you are, all right, I'll see you at 1 p.m. We'll be in the exclusive Microcurrency Traders members-only room, and we'll be getting into more crypto, more charts, more trades. So come join me, guys. All right, otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. same time, same channel, and we'll be talking stocks. Have a great rest of your day. See you soon. Bye, everyone.